So let me ask you two follow-up questions there. One is just based on like human psychology within sort of the enterprise leadership vector, which is, I think there's two reasons people do things, like either it's fear or it's opportunity. What do you think is driving most C-suite folks that are considering blockchain as some sort of initiative they want to launch? Is it because they're worried that they're going to be behind on the technology or some other reason strategically? Or do they view it as like a very big, opportunity unlock for them, whether that's more revenue, whether that's cutting costs, could be anything. But like from a psychological perspective, what do you think drives most executives as they consider blockchain?
I would categorize that in maybe a little bit different than you do. I think you have the FOMO group.
Yep.
Who's saying, I don't understand what's happening, but I need to get involved. Right? Because if I don't, I take the risk of being behind. Maybe that's what you said, right? The risk side. I think that group is shrinking dramatically because I think all of us in the industry have done pretty good work educating the market that, yeah, it's a great innovation. It's a great change. It's a real innovation. But it's not that hard to engage and anyone can benefit. And point number two, the business cases are now real. Now we can deliver either revenue or efficiencies on the top of blockchains because you can run what you used to run for, $100 million, you can run on $20 million, right? On a blockchain platform. What you were stuck with legacy infrastructure, you don't have to be stuck anymore. And you can actually build a new business model on the top of a blockchain system because the technology lets you do that, right? So I think it's hard to say, to generalize, because every enterprise is different. Every culture of every enterprise is different. You have organizations who came very early. I remember when I was at Deloitte, very, very large organization that you don't expect to be innovative came to us and said, how do I benefit from this technology? I can see something is going to be there. What do I need to do, right? Do I need to change my payment rails? Do I need to build a new platform for collateralizing assets? Do I need to change my loyalty and reward platform, right? It was very strategic questions. It was not, FOMO. It was really, really strategic. So we still see that just now the volume is much, much bigger than what we used to have, 10 years ago. So I don't know. I don't know if I can answer really your question because it really depends on the organization. And by the way, it depends on the country too.
Totally.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that maybe also. Just sort of, I'm curious about your take on like regulatory evolution, but just, going back to sort of the transformative potential of tokenization, Eric, I do want to ask you a little bit about, is tokenization a technology problem that needs to be solved? Is it primarily a regulatory problem that needs to be sort of like overcome, or is it a data standardization problem that needs to be overcome? Like, how do you see sort of the friction to tokenization becoming like a real, sort of like category?
Yeah, I love that question because to your point, I think people think of tokenization as a technology issue. And I would argue today it is not at all a technology issue. You have 20 options to tokenize your assets today if you want to. And many of them are really good, right? We have a tokenization studio at Hedera that Hashgraph built, and that studio lets you start tokenizing assets in a matter of minutes, right? It's a really easy engagement level. So the technology is there. There is no reason not to do that today from a technology point of view. The regulatory framework is important, right? Because when you think about tokenization, let's take an example. You want to tokenize real estate, right? That's a typical example. Mm-hmm. You tokenize, a multifamily project, right? $200 million. You tokenize. Now everybody can invest into that project $100 at a time. But oh, wait, that investment is a security. So I need to be an accredited investor if I live in the US, right? So suddenly your market for selling that token is shrunk to a tiny market because it's only accredited investors. Guess what? The accredited investors are not going to spend $100 on an investment because it's not efficient for them to say, I'm going to spend my time on investing $100 at a time across different things. Because then I have to track, I have to pay taxes, I have to do all of this. So they're not interested, right? Mm-hmm. So But it's not nothing to do with the technology. It has to do with the fact that those tokens cannot be sold at a retail level in the US market, right? So in the US, tokenization is a regulatory issue. Unless, and that's a recent development, unless you can actually tokenize securities and buy those securities on an exchange, on a traditional market like you do today with equities and bonds, right? So you buy, Apple stocks, you do that through a broker. If tomorrow you can do $100 worth of real estate through that broker, fine, I can do that too. So that's happening, right? But it's not about technology, it's about regulatory environment and the market structure to give you access to that security, assuming that tokenized asset is a security, right? So that needs to happen way more than the technology stack. That's the US market.
Got it. And you sort of reframed my is AI agents just impacting commerce, and it's like, no, it's payments and the movement of money. Similarly with tokenization, do you think that the market, enterprise or otherwise, views tokenization too narrowly? And by too narrowly, I mean just a wrapper for existing assets. Or do you think there's a way to sort of redefine how value is created in the first place or moved?
I think on the first side, I would say, even if you do just wrap your existing assets and you tokenize them, you're still creating a lot of value because now those assets are going to be tradable 24/7. Now those assets are going to be exposed to investors outside of your traditional channels of distribution. So even if you just do that, it creates a lot of value, right? So that's enough to do it. So don't wait for anything else to do it, is what I'm saying. Now, sometimes we are saying, okay, let's think about tokenization as a bigger play and not use existing assets that we're going to repackage pretty much, right? Tokenization is a repackage of assets. But tokenize things that we don't tokenize today or we don't sell today, right? So you can tokenize, art and then let people invest in art, in remote places. But you can tokenize identity. You can tokenize your AI agent, right? So the other day we were working on this topic. We are like, okay, we are creating agents that are very valuable. I'm going to tokenize them, give access to individuals to use those agents. And I'm going to benefit from them using that agent by receiving tokens every time they do, right? They're going to pay this agent and I'm going to get a piece of that. So in a way, I invest into an AI agent providing value to an ecosystem and I get the value because I tokenize that agent in the first place. So that would be more on the second part of your question, new things you can do because tokenization is available. And not just available, it's actually really easy and cheap to implement, right? Because many things are available, but very expensive. This is not expensive at all to tokenize an asset.
Mm-hmm. I want to move to what Hashgraph has been able to achieve and accomplish by, sort of announcing and launching HashSphere. Do you want to give the audience just a little bit of background on HashSphere, what you all are doing with it? I think it's just a great segue into, everything we've been talking about.
Yeah. So if you're in the blockchain business, very often you go talk to the enterprise market and they say, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. The tech is awesome. I love the way you govern the network. It's, the big brands behind you, credibility, I trust them. So we are in a really good position. So we go all the way through that discussion. And at some point they say, but are you a public or a private blockchain? And we are a public blockchain. We are a permissioned public blockchain, right? And they say, oh, well, hold on, I can't touch public blockchain. That's not possible. I have data residency issue. I have regulatory framework I need to comply to. I have participants who will not accept that anyone can see the fact that we are transacting with each other, right? Mm-hmm. Not the actual transaction, but the fact that we are transacting. All of that I can't deal with. So we were losing opportunities because we couldn't deliver what the clients or the networks were looking to do. And at some point we said, we need to create this private network. We need to say that you can benefit from the entire stack of Hedera, the entire ecosystem in a private setting with a bridge to the public network if you need to, right? If you need to communicate between your private network and the public network, you can, but we need to deliver that solution. And we call that HashSphere. We launched that officially in beta 2 months ago, I think now. And now we are capturing clients and opportunities that we couldn't before. So this is a gateway for them to engage with us and build something of value to them, compliant with their regulatory environment. And over time, we expect them to benefit from the public ledger, but also maybe merge into the public ledger, because they're going to realize that there's no need to have a private and a public ledger anymore, right? But today we have to do this because we have to meet the clients where they are. And where they are is they need a private network.